Welcome into the Johnny Dale Football Academy podcast on the channel that's trying to answer the whys and the hows. Yes, a little bit of technical difficulties, so we didn't have the intro video. So if you are new to this channel, I will say first, welcome. And to let you know what is going on every Monday and Friday, typically, we like to come live and hang out with all of you, especially on a Victory Monday. And if you are new to the channel as well, you may see in the chat tons of people hitting hashtag JD49. That is to boost the algorithm. We want to be hanging out with as many faithful as possible. So when the algorithm sees that there's a ton of comments, it's going to show a ton of Niner fans. Be sure to hit up the website as well. There is a website. We'll tell you more about that. Again, I'm going over some of this stuff because it's usually in our intro video. We are, I think, blaming China on this shutdown from the avenue that we usually use. But again,
I don't even know. So I normally use Restream. Yeah, I normally use a host service called Restream. I pay them for it. That is what the support of many of you on the at the members website help support. We pay them a pretty good amount every year, but apparently there is a US outage, a major outage right now. It started out as an investigation around 8:40, and now all of a sudden it's a major outage. So I am over at this is StreamYard. I don't have a full I just keep a free account there because I've used Restream for 2 years and now it's not working. So that is why you saw like a show pop up and then disappear and then pop up and disappear. I tried running the router through Germany to see if that would make it work. And it did not. It did not. That's why you had that super chill, very underwhelming countdown video. I'm so my mojo is so thrown off. I need that
we gotta
video to get me jazzed up, ready to go. East Data Center
here
was busted. Yeah, that's what it said. It said there was a major outage on there. So AWS, they give us those next gen stats, but I guess this stream is not powered by AWS. I'm blaming it on the large, the very populous country over by the Koreas.
Yes, but
I'm blaming it on hackers from there.
We are 5-2, sitting atop of the NFC West as we are the only team who has beaten every single team inside of the NFC West. We're tied with the Rams. Such a weird game, that Rams game, playing the Jaguars, and that was not the same Jaguars team. I feel like I get they had to travel across the pond. But anyway, last night's game.
Yeah, so did the Rams. I mean,
I know.
The Rams had a lot farther to go. The Rams had to travel across the United States and then across the pond.
And no Puka.
And no Puka.
I do have Devontae Adams. I do have Devontae Adams. I have Christian McCaffrey. I had the Cleveland Browns defense who scored 25 points. I had I have Jalen Waddle. He didn't do anything. But I just had playmaker after playmaker. I had the tight end for Dallas. I forget his name. Ferguson, I think. He got 2 touchdowns. I obliterated my fantasy opponent. So sorry, not sorry there. All right. So the Niner game, man. So Johnny sent me some notes, and I'll tell you guys, he called me a boob. And I will still stand by my statement, as we will find out.
You cannot be doubling down.
Yes, I am.
You cannot be doubling down at this point. There is no way.
I am beyond elated that we beat my roommate's team, the Atlanta Falcons, because they have our number, from Roddy White to
they have our number
backup in Washington.
We stole the best offensive coach they've ever had. We hired him away. Do we not remember the 2012 NFC Championship game?
2012,
it was one of the greatest. It was one of the greatest comebacks in NFC Championship history, only surpassed by their offensive coach, leading one Lions at 23. Have our number. I say bah humbug on you.
No. No. And yes, I'm lighting up the chat. So they've beat us 2 times. First of all, and we don't play Atlanta all the time, okay? They're not in our division anymore. So they've beat us 2 times in the last 4 years. That's not a normal thing.
Did Adam freeze or is it me?
I can still hear you. I don't know. You got me? Hello. Well, I'm still here, I think.
I'm back. Things happen. Look, there's a lot going on in the world, and I tried to bring my server back from Europe in the middle of a stream, and that didn't work real well.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was like, I think I'm by myself.
I guess this whole AWS thing has knocked out the NFL servers too, because I can't access any of their stats from the game. So there's that. This whole thing has got me so thrown off. I was gonna look at some stats and just really like hand it to you, Adam. I still cannot believe. I still cannot. I did not name any countries. Okay. I'm just making that clear for the algorithm, for the AI that's reading everything, that's going to read the transcript of this show.
Yeah, we had no.
I'm not going to get myself shadow banned anywhere.
I love sweet and sour chicken. I love it. I really
stop
really
it.
Enjoy
Adam.
it.
Stop it. No,
that's not a lie.
So wrong. That is so wrong.
No.
Anyways,
gosh,
let's
get to the Falcons.
Anyways, look,
Falcons.
Okay, so that's what brings us back. We beat the Falcons, and it justifies all of us who were like, I'm mad about the season because we're not ready to throw in the towel. And you, one Adam Marino, last week was like, I would just rather be terrible and get better draft picks because it's either you win the Super Bowl or it's a wasted season. I don't subscribe to that sort of mentality. The season is never wasted until you are officially eliminated from the dance. So the 49ers are still number 1 in the NFC West. At the end of this weekend, they are still number 1 in the NFC West. And you never throw in the towel when you are number 1 in your division. Look at the Bengals. The Bengals. Everybody was certain they were sellers of Trey Hendrickson. And I've been telling everybody for the last month, nobody is a seller except for the Dolphins, and even then I'm not sure, and then maybe the Jets, but that the Bengals were not sellers because they were going to do everything they could to try and keep the team afloat until Joe Burrow got back. They traded for Joe Flacco, and all of a sudden Thursday Night Football, no one considers them a seller in the league right now. They're a team that is all bought into. They are going to do their darndest to get into the playoffs in some way and stay afloat until Joe Burrow gets back. You do the same thing with this team. Like, I know it's an extreme long shot that Fred Warner could come back at any point in the season, but it's not impossible. It is impossible that Nick Bosa is coming back. But you look at this team, you say, okay, they were able to generate some pressure. They do need another pass rusher. So as this goes, I keep saying I think Bradley Chubb is the guy that they may kick the tires on, that would make the most sense for what they have talked about. But they're not throwing in the towel because we saw a defense last night that even without their 2 all-pros held a very good offense to 10 points. 10 points. Cayman's Island coming in with... We're not doing the horn, Adam.
It was low. It was low. It was low volume.
We're doing the applause, Adam. We have that in StreamYards. There's at least one positive thing there. He says, now that we are 5-2, I feel like we need to make a move or two. If you were handed the keys to the franchise, exactly what moves would you make to give us the best shot at a chip? So we're talking the
I like
California
that.
in Interstate Patrol.
I like that question though. I like it.
Yeah, I do.
Perfect
So
time to talk about it.
I think really the biggest thing is you go get Bradley Chubb. I think him or Arden Key. Those are the guys that make sense because they're going to be really low cost um and give you a little bit of a boost right now. You're expecting to get Yetur Gross-Matos back, which should give you a boost, but he still is been hampered by a knee injury. This may give that knee injury a little bit of time to clean up. Maybe. I don't know. We don't know the extent of that knee injury. Jeffrey Simmons is clearly off the table. The Titans talked about that after they fired Callahan, that were fielding calls from every team. And look, I kept seeing one or two people maybe float that very voraciously that the 49ers should go after Jeffrey Simmons. And I kept telling people that's not realistic. Teams, just because they're heading for a rebuild doesn't mean they start jettisoning all their talent, especially their young talent. Just because a guy's coming up for his second contract doesn't mean that they sit there and say, well, we're not going to give it to him. No, actually, you're probably going to do that because you either have a quarterback on a rookie contract like Cam Ward, or you're about to go get one like the Jets.
He's hurt too. He's hurt. Simmons is hurt.
Right. But I mean, they can make an exception. But it's a point where players like that, you have to send a lot of draft capital to go get them. It's going to be a first round pick and maybe then some. And then you have to give them that big contract extension.
So
you have
pass
to
rush
look at,
though. That's what you're saying though, Johnny, right? That's
right. Yeah. That he would boost the pass rush and he would do. And plus you invested CJ West and Alfred Collins in the defensive tackle position and Micah Williams, who his role is to rush from the inside. He hasn't been able to do that as much because of what's happened with Bosa and then Yetur Gross-Matos now. But that's where it is. So for me, if I'm looking at this situation, I'm saying it's Bradley Chubb, Arden Key. Those are the guys that make sense because those are two players that teams will be willing to move off from. Max Crosby's not getting traded. Davis is not trading him, especially to the 49ers. That's not happening.
The Raiders are bad.
God, and the Raiders are terrible. Oh my gosh. I turned on that game. I didn't see the scores. I was just like, oh, I'll check in on it. It was at the 2-minute warning in the fourth quarter. And the Raiders, they announced, had 3 first downs the entire game to that point.
That's what they ended up, and 90 yards total offense. And we scored. You and John, me and Johnny scored the same amount of points as the whole team did. We did, and we were on our couches.
They should be paying us.
We tied.
We should at least get half of Gino's paycheck this week. I mean, I'm just saying.
It's only fair. It's only fair since they have 0 points and we had 0 points.
We contributed as much to their success. So, anyways, that's where I'm at. It's going to be one of those two guys. I think Arden Key or Chubb. That makes sense. Or you could go over to the Jets and a lot of people say Will McDonald. I don't believe Will McDonald will be available. He's another one of those players that he's young, that they're going to look to get him on a second contract because they're going to have a rookie quarterback here at least next season. Clearly what's happening with the Jets, the quarterback situation is an absolute mess. They ended up not committing to Justin Fields as the starter going forward last week, or really saying they weren't committing to him not being the starter. And then they go through the first half this last game and they pull him at halftime and put Tyrod Taylor in, and then the offense still looks terrible, and they only score 6 points. So, the Jets are going to be drafting a quarterback next year. They're going to look at the way that their salary roster construction can happen. I see him, Adam. I'll get to him. I see you. Like you're so trigger happy on that horn. But the Jets, I think Michael Clemens is somebody that makes sense. Maybe Jermaine Johnson. Those are two guys that might make sense because they aren't going to keep everybody on their defensive line. So they're going to offload some talent and gather picks for next season. When they really need them, they need a lot of picks coming in this 2026 draft. So those guys, I think those are more realistic. The Will McDonalds, the Trey Hendricksons, the Max Crosbys, these are not realistic trade options for the 49ers.
Yeah. We're gonna get into it's in our notes, actually. It's in our text thread to talk about George Kittle. So we will talk more about George Kittle in a little bit. Thank you, Cornelius, though, the people's tight
Yes.
end. Yes, and next week is tight ends, tight ends day. So we will get to George Kittle. Stay tuned, Cornelius. Do not leave. Don't leave. And then another super chat follow-up. Is trading Bosa next year not in the table to make up for a big move? For example, Henderson. Just
Gong
say
because of the ominous. I'm just not used to StreamYard here, y'all. Okay, we're not trading Nick Bosa, and two, you can't trade him. With him being on IR. I mean, they could ostensibly make it an exception
next year. He's saying though,
yeah, nah,
he won't be on IR next year.
Bosa. I'm not trading defensive player of the year. Look, I get it. It's a second torn ACL. This is in the NFL. It's his third overall. I'm not trading Nick Bosa. Nah, that's not on the table at all. That's like the spinach salad at Thanksgiving. It doesn't even make the table. You got the turkey, you got the mashed potatoes, you got the dressing, you got all the other good stuff. The spinach salad, it's Thanksgiving. We're not about that. That's off the table. So that is a spinach
Can we have
salad.
Halloween yet? Can we have Halloween yet before we get into Thanksgiving? I mean, we got the kids dressing up.
Sorry.
All right.
I can't think of Halloween without thinking of a couple guys that lived in my dorm floor.
This is the weirdest Monday show.
It is. I'm telling you, StreamYard is on there. Look, I can't say what they
in.
I can't say what they did because it might get me flagged for inappropriate content. But I would just say they would always turn their dorm floor into a haunted house, and they would call it Hallow, and then it was a reference to a hot dog or a part of the male anatomy. So so when you're talking about that, I was just sitting here thinking about how Adam is a little bit one of those too, for thinking that we should tank the season.
I'm not. And who also is not is Robert Saleh. So can we all give?
Yes, let's move on to Robert Saleh. I just like busting Adam's chops for this because I'm in a good mood after a big win on Sunday Night Football. The defense looked phenomenal, and we rolled over the Falcons with a 2-score win. This was not a close game. The first win we've had that wasn't a close game.
Wild.
Matt Jones played well. I mean, this should have been a 3-score game if Juwan Jennings doesn't play volleyball out there. But Robert Saleh, I mean, my goodness, you lose Renardo Green. I went back and I was watching some of the film this morning. I couldn't tell exactly what happened with Renardo Green. It looked like he got his foot tied up with a receiver the play before he went out, and he was called for an illegal contact on that play. And he kind of, you can see he favors his left foot a little bit, and then they run the next play, and he doesn't run real hard. He just kind of shuffles out, and then he heads straight to the sideline. And then he was out for the rest of the game. So the fact that Robert Saleh has been able to do with this defense what they've done, I mean, especially that second drive from Atlanta, I watched the tape, and it was like that. This is the drive that never ends. It was, like that old Dollhouse song. This is the song that never ends. And so this was the drive that never ended. It just kept going and going and going and going on and on, my friends. But they were able to finally get off the field and force only a field goal. They had a lot of bending in that, but they did not break. And so huge props to Saleh for that. And then coming in with Tatum Bethune, gets 10 tackles. I mean, Robert Saleh,
really great plays, some Warner-like plays.
Robert Saleh has been huge in Tatum Bethune's development. I will say, he has been very creative in how he's used his personnel. He was using Jason Pinnock in these big nickel situations early in the game as a man coverage guy on Kyle Pitts, and it led to several pressures and a sack on Michael Penix. So, I know people have said, Chase Lucas need to be in there. We need to take Pinnock out. Pinnock, as a size advantage, made a whole bunch of sense on Pitts because Pinnock is a very lengthy safety. I mean, he's a tall dude, but his arms are long, and so he was able to get into the pat throwing lanes. You could see Penix trying to look that direction, and Pinnock was able to get underneath the route, and he moves off, and it winds up as an incompletion or a pressure. Seeing how he's worked Malik Mustafa, and Malik Mustafa is so fun to watch on film. Dude is dynamic player, and as he gets worked more and more back in there, he's going to be phenomenal. It's really fun to see that. But then using Siegel and Jair Brown in there as well, I still believe that I think the best safety combo is
Luter
and Luter. I said safety combo. That the best safety combo is going to be Marquis Siegel and Malik Mustafa going forward. Siegel's got to tighten up some of the coverage stuff, but he's a more physical tackler than Jair Brown, and that's what we need. The way he has used the linebacking core. I know a lot of people say Nick Martin should be in there over Luke Gifford. They will not play the same role at all. I know that the Robert Saleh said they've gone to more of a profile that they're all the same. Luke Gifford is an exception. He is more of the 2017, 2018 Sam Backer that we used to have here. That it was more of like the KJ Wrights who played that linebacker on the line of scrimmage there in the Legion of Boom, and this was evident from the very first play of the game. Bijan Robinson, we talked about this before the matchup, right? That Bijan Robinson is an outside runner. And so what did Robert Saleh do? He used Luke Gifford to come up and be outside shade of the tight end and set the edge. And he brought in a 4-eye and then a 2-eye on that side. So he was able to be inside shade of the tackle, inside shade of the guard. And that was able to hem up everything on those outside runs and then those cutback lanes that he wants. That 4-eye and that 2-eye, it's really hard to get reaches on them. So you have to try and wash them out, but you can't. And so that crease that they would look for isn't there. And so he was trying to bounce him outside, and he could not run outside. Luke Gifford was a huge part of that. You're not putting Nick Martin on the line and asking him to set the edge against a tight end or even a tackle. And Luke Gifford, though, weighs about 30 pounds more, and he did. So the usage of personnel by Robert Saleh has been absolutely phenomenal. Love it. I love the way that he's approached that he's used all his personnel to try and bring a cohesive plan. And I think that's the biggest thing, a cohesive plan from beginning to end. There's a cohesive plan. And as the game went out, you could see that the pass rush was starting to get home. They were starting to take advantage of the times that the Falcons were trying to chip and everything with some stunts, with some pressures. Because when they're trying to double chip the outside guys, that's when you bring that inside pressure. And we were able to get home with some of that. So it was awesome.
So I want to make a request here for when you watch film. And I think Liam Davis 3960 will approve of what I'm asking. I'd love to see what your thoughts are on Hennessy coming in for a 1 Jake Brendel, because to the naked eye, just watching in real time live, I think every faithful member of the faithful would say he did a phenomenal job. And so I'd love to see what your take is when you actually get to the tape. I know you haven't really had a chance really yet. So I'm just curious, what do you think the tape's going to show? That we're all correct in thinking that he did extremely well? Or does it just seem like that, because we're like, well, he's the backup and nothing bad happened, so he must have done amazing?
Well, look, I will say first off, of course I was going to look at the new center. Secondly, I'm not a cognac drinker, so I'm not going to be really that into Hennessy. I don't drink any liquor. So
You're on one.
So Hennessy is not really on the list for this. I usually drink tea as I am watching film, or coffee. Right, but my coffee is not arriving until the mail later today. So I'm on the English breakfast tea today. So no
I drink
Hennessy will
Sports
be there.
Nation.
The middle of that is correct. And so, but no, I think that's going to be a really fun thing to see. You know, Shanahan has vehemently defended Jake Brendel, even into the presser last night. Was talking about how amazing, incredible, awesome Jake Brendel has been for them. And so, you know, he's hoping it's not a long-term thing. I think many of us have said and seen that Jake Brendel has struggled. He at best he's like 15th best center in the league on a good day. On a bad day, he's about 25th or 30th in the league as far as centers is what I think. And he's been having a lot of bad days this year. So I think there is a clear path for an upgrade. Hennessy is a guy with a lot of experience in the league, and it will be interesting to see what the tape says. I actually believe that the wide receivers and tight ends had more to do with our run game picking up than Hennessy did. I think when I even from the first couple drives that I watched, like it's amazing when George Kittle comes back, Luke Farrell becomes like George Kittle wasn't even on the field, and I saw Luke Farrell throw better blocks than he had all year.
Yeah,
Like that's kind of wild
because he's fired up. He's fired up.
Like,
That's why.
like George Kittle's on the sideline, and Luke Farrell helped Colt McKivitz on a combo block, and they absolutely ejected the defensive end from the hole and on a pull play, and it was actually Robinson was the ball carrier, and he got like 9 yards on the play right behind where they ejected the guy out of the hole. And you can see Kendrick Bourne was doing a little bit better in some of his run blocking, still not where you want it to be, but like they were getting better run blocking from their tight ends and wide receivers. Their guys were getting to their spots and getting in the way. We had an outside run where it was, I believe it was Kendrick Bourne was on the crack block, and I buried him last week on both Stats' show and on my review and on X about how horrible his crack block was on a play against the Buccaneers, and he at least got in the way, and McCaffrey got like 9 yards, and that's all you need. That's all you need. And so I want to say, you know, those guys had a huge impact in the run game. And I've been saying this all season long. Like they needed to get better production in the run blocking from their wide receivers and tight ends. It was just bad all year. That was why when MVS got a calf injury, they didn't even stash him on IR. Mike Tirico falsely reported last night that they put him on IR. Well, they did, but then they released him with an injury settlement. He is not with the team because what they don't want to do with MVS is use one of their return from IRs on MVS. He's not that valuable. But they also kind of want to keep him on the back burner so that they could bring him back if they were down to their last like 4 receivers sort of a thing. So they did the injury settlement so they can release him. He can heal up when he's healthy again. They can either sign him to the practice squad or they can then sign him back to the active roster if he's still available out there. That's why they did the injury settlement, is that now it doesn't take up an IR spot to return. And the biggest thing is they have to pay him more to do it this way. That's the biggest thing.
So I think with yesterday too, I want to get into some of the decisions that were made. Let's talk first half. Was there a difference right away from like run? Once you see, like, let me ask you, do you think once you see the run game is actually doing what is like Niner football, do you start to think ahead and say, okay, on third and whatever it is, we will start running more because you see some success? Because then I thought Kyle got too cute because that juice play on 3rd and 1.
I'm over the fullback dives. I put it on X. I am over the fullback dive.
Yeah, dude. Like what?
In short yardage, like And it's not
just
against,
give it to CMC. Just give it to him. What are we doing?
It's not anything against Kyle Juszczyk. It's just like he's only getting a 2-yard head start.
Of course not.
And we're not exactly moving a ton of people. It's where you get too cute. You believe that the defense is going to be cluing so hard into CMC that
they still can't stop it. That's what I'm saying.
Well,
hat on a hat and go play football. 3rd and 1.
Like I get the idea of it. It's just one of those where you outsmart yourself. You know, you think you're so ready to swerve when you think they're gonna do this, and it's just like, no, sometimes you just need to line it up and go get that yard. But or Brian Robinson, he's a big dude. I mean, he can run behind his pads and he can get a tough yard there. So, you know, that drives me nuts. But I guess your question of do you think that the success leads to more attempts and more desire to stick with it? I think Kyle had talked about it in this. Look, this was the worst rushing defense in the league coming in. And so I think all week they were licking their chops saying, we're going to get the run game back on track this week. And then in it, Diablo goes out.
That helped us.
And
not the devil.
And so or the video game. But he goes out, and so you look at it, and Kyle, all of them talk about it. Kittle talked about it. Christian McCaffrey talked about it. Kyle Shanahan talked about it in his presser. The goal was, the thing that he told the team Saturday night was, I want to run the ball 40 times. And that they hadn't said that in every game coming in. It wasn't like that. That's just what Kyle Shanahan says every night before the game. I want to run the ball 40 times. No, it was, we're looking at this game. This is a game that we can run the ball 40 times.
Get right game.
And well, not even just a get right game. It's the opportunity. There's a pathway there. When you're looking against the Seahawks, the pathway isn't really clear on that because they are a very good run defense. And so, you know, you look at it and you say, I don't think our pathway is there for 40 runs against them, but it is against this team. And that will keep, we do that because they have been generating a lot of pressure. And when they get a lot of pressures, that's when the negative plays happen. And we need to keep out of negative plays, because we think if we can hem Bijan Robinson in on the edges, that we have a clear path for them not scoring more than 17 points. And so you have all that kind of plays in, and it says, okay, we're going to be able to do this. You don't just do it just to say, okay, well, this game I'm going to run 40 times, and no matter what, you know, okay, well, you know, we're at 25 rushes. There's 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and we're down 2 scores. We have got to get to those 40 rushes. You know, you don't go about it like that, and the game plan's sometimes going to look at 25. The goals, that's going to be the goal. The other game is going to be 30. This one was 40. And so I think that's why you saw a leaning into it more, but the team took ownership of it. And that's what it is. It doesn't mean that, you know, that the way that they're going about everything else is wrong. It's that the team responded correctly in this one, and the execution was there.
For sure. This channel is all about the whys and the hows, and I wanted to get into some of those here. I'm going to just ramble down some stats, and I want to see what jumps out to you. So first of all, they were 5 for 11 and 0 for 2 on 3rd and 4th down. Rushing yards, they only had 62 to our 174. My favorite, time of possession, 32 minutes to their 27 minutes.
Always on the time of possession.
Dude. And then the last one is total yards. We had 324, and they had less than 300, which is always, to me, a big deal, at 292. So, Johnny Dell, what stat jumps out to you?
I mean, it's the fact that they were held to 3 yards a carry, and Bijan Robinson has been one of the most explosive players in the league. Yeah. To be able to do that. And again, people... I've been seeing all this stuff the last week, and it's been building throughout the year of kind of bagging on Michael Williams, and it's an underwhelming pick. Oh, you know, he should be producing more. Against an outside running back, we just held the most explosive guy that has been on an incredible record pace, who is one of the most dynamic players in the league, was just held to 3 yards a carry because you have Michael Williams holding the edge on one side. That's a fact. So that is why they went out and got him, because they couldn't hold an edge opposite Bosa. And now you have an edge sitter there. And then that allows you to, away from him, put Luke Gifford over there to have 2 defensive tackles on that side, or Sam O and a defensive tackle playing inside. And you absolutely shrink the edges and they cannot run anywhere. And that is why you held one of the best running backs in the league to 3 yards a carry. So that is the thing that jumps out to me. It is there that a team that wanted to run the ball a lot, you held them to only about 33% runs. So they were a team that we had talked about this on the Friday show. Coming in, they were one of the most balanced teams in the NFL. They were 3rd lowest pass percentage at 51.2 pass percentage. So only 2 teams pass the ball at a lower percentage rate than the Falcons. In this game, the Falcons were over a 66% drop back team in some way. Pass play team. That speaks to you being really good against the run and forcing a team that is a running team to be a pass first team. And that is why you held them to 10 points.
Just unbelievable effort. I was texting with my roommate about the Chase Lucas said later that he had actually done his homework, 80 pages, and saw that when in motion on 4th down, Drake London, and he ran the route better than Drake London. It was so cool to see, because we love Chase Lucas because we watched him in the preseason, because we're the faithful and that's what we do. We watch all the games. So, and to see his reaction when he missed the interception, it went right through his hands, but obviously he had made a superb play to run that route for the receiver and to even get his hands on it. It's like plays like that, those win you ball games. And
I mean, that was the play of the game. That was the play of the game.
Yeah.
Right.
Chase,
like
man.
that was, because that changed the entire, as you love to say, Adam, momentum is a real thing. That whole Mr. Momentum. That changed the entire momentum of the game, because the Falcons were absolutely moving the ball. Man. It was a 10-13 game. They had scored on their previous possession. They were looking at they were on the cusp of field goal range. It was going to be a very long field goal. They decided to go for it on 4th down. They were trying to get into better field goal range, or even score a touchdown, take the lead, and force the 49ers to be a pass first team then. And that play changed everything, because then the 49ers marched it down the field, took a ton of time off the clock, and got CMC in in the end zone with Connor Colby. Maybe
he did, but look, that doesn't get called.
I just saw a pile moving forward. It was hilarious. My wife was watching it. Look. I have to tell this story because my wife's sitting there. We're watching the game together. I'm looking like Robert Saleh. I stand there. I'm squatted down, my hands on my knees. I'm intense. And we see that run. And she goes, oh, that run didn't get very far. Wait, what's happening? He's in the end zone. Like, because she saw one player shoot out the side and she thought that was McCaffrey. And she thought, oh, that play went for like half a yard. And then all of a sudden they're blowing the foghorn and Christian McCaffrey scored. She's like, oh, okay, that was a great one. Yeah. But look, Connor Colby, it may or may not have been an illegal pulling of a player.
It was
but
illegal.
I saw what Shanahan saw, which was a pile moving towards the end zone, and that's how it goes.
Look, I have no problem saying, no, I saw it was illegal. You know how much illegal? The next time the Falcons got the ball, they held 3 times. I can screenshot you and send it to every one of you and show you, and they didn't call it. So, like, I just don't care.
Right.
There's calls
drop your emails in the chat so that Adam can email every single one of you this screenshot.
And they don't, because here's why they won't do that, because they know I'm telling the truth. They saw it for themselves too, that we got held.
I will say that's a makeup call for the Lenore PI when he nearly picked off that. That was one of the worst PIs there. Like, that was so bad. That was a Magnum PI, random, is what it was.
Okay, I see what you did there. Random question: are we done with receivers who just flat out drop the ball? I don't want to say the guy's name, number 5. Are we just, when we get healthy anyway, we're just
what
done,
is it?
Right?
What is it about some guys that they come to San Francisco and suddenly they can't catch a pass? Like DeMarcus Robinson has a decent. Well, okay, I wouldn't say decent. He was like the fifth most catches. He did have a lower catch rate. Like he's had issues of drops. So I guess I should,
Dude,
as
that
I'm
was a
thinking through
game
this,
changer.
I shouldn't just
That
say
was
like
a momentum changer.
But no, it like DeMarcus Robinson's dealt with drops. That's part of it. I think he was the third most targeted receiver. Right, but he was the third most targeted player on the Rams last year, and he was the fifth in catches. He's dealt with drops. And
So what does that tell you? Yeah.
It tells you that he was meant to be our fourth wide receiver. And because of injuries, he was our number 2 wide receiver. Him and Bourne are kind of like 2-3. Like he's really in that third. He should be at this point, like when you get your receivers back, he should be our 5th wide receiver. Like that's what he should be. So yeah, I would rather have Ricky Pierce out there. Ricky, you need to get that knee healthy.
Dude,
BA,
yeah,
we're still believing for a Thanksgiving return. That's what we want to see. But yeah,
man, it's fun to like think about like ooh, a Christmas present. It's fun to think about what players we're getting back, you know, within 60 days or so, like Christmas time, and to see if the offense can get chugging a little bit better. Because I don't care what practice squad player from the defense you want to bring up, because we have such a belief in Salah that like it's more about the offense now at this point. The defense, they said it on the broadcast that Chris Collinsworth said Robert Saleh is taking a pound of clay and just making a defense out of it. And for once, I was like, you know what? He wasn't a moron on the telecast. Like that was actually pretty good. Here's a guy who's not a moron. Because no, I agree.
yeah,
Right?
yeah, and you know, defense is more about trying to figure out what space the offense is trying to move into and be one step ahead on that. You know, offense, there are so many things as far as details of each individual execution that I always kind of harken it back to what gosh, this was 20 years ago. I remember seeing this on a broadcast or on an NFL Films thing. They were talking about the difference between offensive lineman and defensive lineman. The defensive lineman is the guy who can eat everything inside the fridge and then throw the fridge out the window. The offensive lineman is the one who's supposed to eat everything in the fridge, but then also take it apart and put it back together. And that there's a lot of complexity that goes on to the offensive side. Defensive side, there is a lot of complexity, but they also want guys just to run, hit, and make tackles and make stops and reduce space after it's been created. So what Robert Saleh is really good at is determining what space am I going to allow and in what areas, so that my space closers, my space takeawayers can go and do what they do best. And that's close space. And that's what you're seeing him do. Is this is a very cohesive plan. He has an understanding of how to punch, counterpunch with offensive lines. That's a big thing right now. Is that we talked about this so much last year that it felt like there was such a heavy focus on the coverage that there was no setting up your front seven to be in a good position to succeed. And we're seeing the flip of that right now. We're having some coverage issues every once in a while, but that front seven is being put into a position for advantageous matchups and being set up for quality moments to be able to counter what the offense is doing. We're not just running Nick Bosa into a double team every play and a chip and saying, well, you just got to win. We're going to hold up in coverage for another second. We're not doing that. We're saying we're going to force the issue. If they're doing this on the front, we are going to change things and come with different rushes, different pressures. We have an answer for all their different protection schemes, and we're able then to shrink the time. When we don't hit it, though, look, we're probably going to give a play on the back end. Don't let it be an explosive. But we will be able to figure them out and get home at some point, and we were at the end of the game. And that's why the team keeps closing on defense. We have closed so many of these games on defense. And that's the difference that you're seeing, is somebody who is playing that game within the game, the chess match along the front, and not just asking players to be phenomenal every single play. Because even when you did have your all pros, that was asking too much. It's asking too much from Nick Bosa, even though he's amazing, to win through a double team or a chip and then on a tackle over and over again, while hoping your coverage and trying to do things in the coverage to where it can stand up for 4 seconds. Okay, even with that, it's still going to be tough for Bosa to win in 4 seconds when he's getting double teamed like that. You've got to make it easier. So you reduce all that, you force these pressures, you force some bad throws, you force some incompletions, you get some sacks, and then the quarterback's hobbling around by the end of the game and can't make the throws. And that's what we're seeing. And so I love what the approach that they have on defense.
So when things go bad, we're blaming everyone. We're definitely blaming the head coach, and things are starting to go well. And there are some Shanahan haters, and one Johnny Dell is not one of them. The floor is yours.
Nope.
The floor is yours. Go ahead, give your flowers. And I agree. I'm going to agree with everything that you're saying. Shanahan, coach of the year, and it may not be close.
Look, I know people are going to say, well, Shane Steichen over with the what he's done, that he should be coach of the year.
That is a good point. Actually, I will say that is a good.
But here's my issue. You are the number 1 most injured team in the league. You have been doing this without your starting quarterback. You're doing this with a guy that you brought in the offseason to pay $5 million a year to, and you are now 5-2, and your starting quarterback is 1-1. You lost an all-pro defensive end, a former defensive player of the year, Nick Bosa. You've lost an all-pro captain of your defense, the emotional heartbeat of your defense in Fred Warner. You lost the emotional heartbeat of your offense in George Kittle. You had to play with wide receivers that you may have had the worst wide receiver room in the NFL for the entire month of September and half the month of October, because a guy that was on the street came in and was your number 1 wide receiver by a mile. You're playing a 7th round rookie at left guard. Your right guard has been dealing with a knee issue that was clearly hampering him the entire time. And you still have put up, as far as yards, one of the most productive offenses in the league. You still found a way to be 5-2. You still found a way to be productive, keep the team together, to come out and play with fire and manage to hold a good offense to 10 points on Sunday Night Football. You've done all this with while you have a strength and conditioning staff that is clearly letting you down. While you've also came out of training camp with the most injured team, where you weren't able to get the practice. You're an extremely detailed coach, but you found ways to win. It didn't matter if you had to throw for 330 yards or if you were going to rush 37 times and get 170 yards. It didn't matter. You did whatever you needed to do. People always have criticized Shanahan if he doesn't have the ability to change up and do things differently. Well, we had games where we dropped back with Mac Jones almost 40 times and we won the game. We had a game where we ran almost 40 times and we won the game. That is winning different ways. That is somebody that is not just so stuck on that his way is the only way. He says, whatever way it takes to win, we're going to do that. And is a team that is bought in, plays hard for their teammates, for their coaches. They believe in the plan. They believe in the system. There's a belief in that building, in what they're doing. And that is an extension of the head coach. And so when I look at this, I say there is not a team in the league that is playing with as much belief in their head coach as this team. Go look at the Dolphins and see what's going on there. That is a team that is falling apart at the seams, and I feel horrible for Mike McDaniels. It looks like that job is literally killing him. That this is not an easy job. And Kyle Shanahan,
he looks like a president 4 years in, where he looks all weathered and aged, and
he looks like a president 16 years in. But Kyle Shanahan probably should have won Coach of the Year twice already. That he's been passed up on this more than once. There's an argument that he should have won Coach of the Year in 2021. In 2022, should have been Coach of the Year, made it to the NFC Championship game on his 3rd quarterback. Yeah. And that was the one that was playing better than all of them.
Right. That doesn't
if we can't sit here at this point and say after this, where we're at in this season, are we really going to make the argument now that we can look back at Kyle Shanahan's tenure and say, like, this guy has never deserved, like, you look at his thing and say, does it make sense that he's never won Coach of the Year? It doesn't make sense. And so I get it with Steichen. I get what people are saying on it, but no, like this, we have to look at this and say that there. It's not just Coach of the Year because they're having a really good year throughout all these injuries. It's Coach of the Year because you're seeing the fruits of a team that has built their team a certain way for years. The way the team playing the way it is and the culture that the team has is not something that was created overnight. It was something that has been pushed through. And I get it. Last year was a really rough year. Last year, we were literally an Eddie Pinheiro away from being where we are right now. Like that's the difference. Like, we lost a bunch of games because we like that. If we go back to that Cardinals game, we lost that game because we didn't have a kicker. Right. We weren't able to that cost us points in that game. That's the difference. And so the fact that they've done these things and made the moves, Shanahan's Coach of the Year right now.
Yeah, again, I told you I was going to agree with literally everything that you were going to say. And yeah, not one thing will back. Well, I mean, no, spot on. I get that you're more of a Shanahan guy maybe than a lot, but dude, you cannot deny there's certain things that you just cannot deny. And so I am excited. Okay, I'll get into this real quick with you in regards to when I said last week that I wanted to lose every game like 20-17. Like what that really means, because there's a difference between, as a fan, just wanting the team to either win the Super Bowl because I have high standards or be realistic because of the injuries. I don't want to literally tank. I want to try as hard as we can, but because of injuries to star players, and when the backups, they're a backup for a reason, that they can't make as many tackles, or they can't run as fast, or they can't bring in as many catches as the stars can. And so that means instead of us winning, 28-20, we lose 20-17. Not because
that
we are
literally
tanking.
Sounds like, that sounds miserable. That sounds like purgatory. Like, that sounds like the worst experience as a fan. I would rather get blown out than lose every game 20-17. That would be the most,
because of the fight.
Because my health couldn't handle. My health would not be able to handle that. I would have a heart attack by week 15 because I'd be so frustrated, and every game would be that
blowout,
close. And then
I don't want to watch
heartbreak after that.
I don't want to watch a blowout though.
What you were describing sounds. She's starting the petition, Adam. She's on it again.
I'm just saying, like,
this is why I called you a boob.
I there's no way I'm the only person that thinks Super Bowl or bust. There's plenty of people.
You're not. We see it on social media a lot. People are like, "Look, I'm not into a team that just makes it to the NFC Championship game and loses." Like, I'm not about that. Like, we're, because I've seen that. Like, we are San Francisco. We win Super Bowls. Well, we haven't for 31 years, so I don't think we really can say that. Like, your dad's 49ers did.
Yeah.
But it is extremely hard to get there, and we see it, a lot of it has to do with injury luck. I'm not saying that I want the team to pick 29th in the draft and need that kind of over the hump piece, and you can't get there. But at the same point, I would much rather have belief until I absolutely can't. Like, that's where I'm at. Is give me belief as long as you can, because what sucks is a 9-month off season. That's what sucks. What sucks is a 10-month off season, because the off season is already long enough. So you know what? And what I like about this season, 2023 felt like a special season because you were projecting out to the playoffs. And it was so frustrating watching that first half against the Lions in that 2000 23 NFC Championship game, because you felt like they were throwing away a special team. And it was like, this team was a special team, and I feel like you're wasting away what could be a really special team. And then they ended up making the comeback in there, and we made the Super Bowl. Then unfortunately fell so far short. And so like that season felt the entire way the 49ers were in a class among themselves in the NFL, and that they were just head and shoulders better than everybody else. And you were projecting out to January, in September, into October. Every game we were analyzing in the viewpoint of, okay, what does this tell us about will we win the Super Bowl when we get there? Because it was seen as that was the expectation to get there the entire season. Right now, this team is, who is this team going to be by the end of October? And then when November hits, who is this team going to be by the end of November? And what I do appreciate about this team is I'm not thinking about the playoffs and what could or couldn't happen. I don't really care. Just, can you get in? And to do that, we got to see how the rest of October goes. And so it's giving me a chance, and I think a lot of us fans, to live in the moment with our team. And we don't always get that, because either you're expecting your team to suck all year and you're just like, okay, we're watching for development and we know we're not going anywhere this year and we're going to see how things come around for next year. So we just kind of, if we get wins, gravy, but we're watching for development. And what then your team, if you're like the Lions, you're looking at, can you finally get over that hump? Can you get past the obstacles that you've fallen short and get there? If you're the Commanders, you're really frustrated right now because you were a team that was right on the doorstep, and now you're looking like you just can't get out of your own way, can't get over the injury bug. And so, I mean, there's different perspectives different teams are coming with, and what we haven't had in a long time, probably since 2019 around this time. But even then, the defense was so dominant and you had so many blue chip players, you instantly started thinking, wow, this team could go really far in the playoffs. Right now, we don't know. This team could fall apart and only win one more game the rest of the year. They could also finish the year and be like 15-2. We don't know. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to win their next 10 games, but we don't know at all right now. Like, this is a game that when you look at the schedule and you say, okay, do you start counting the wins and losses and figuring about where you're going to be? You have no idea how that's going to go, because this team feels like they could beat almost anybody and they feel like they could lose to almost anybody. But this team is allowing us to stay in the moment, and I love that. I love of how this season has allowed that. I'm not thinking into November and December right now.
If anything, I'm getting you paid $2 at a time. So thank you to Lisa and Cornelius, who are at least chiming in to tell me how bad I am. One thing I will say is, on the
that's for them.
On the Sports Idiot Nation podcast, T.I. Titans Idiot, he knows a thing or two about being really bad and about losing guys.
If he knows anything about being a bad team, it's the Titans.
Think about the Tennessee Titans. And when they had Tannehill and went to the AFC Championship game, he reminded me that team was decimated and lost Derrick Henry for a while. They had lost a ton of guys. Even Ryan Tannehill was not like looked at as like their number one guy that who they wanted at quarterback. At quarterback, he just started to really hit his stride. So that does, and he just told me that on today's episode earlier that we shot. So that does kind of make me think like, okay, if you're a team of destiny, you're a team of destiny. If you're just supposed to do well no matter what is thrown at you, then okay. And I am way willing to eat crow in a month if we still have a number 2 on our loss column, or even a 3, a 2 or a 3. I'm willing to say, you know what? All right, abandon ship on that. We're winning the Super Bowl. Like, I will be willing to do that. I'm excited, and I want the team deep down to win every game for sure. Johnny is a Shanahan guy because he knows football. Yes, thanks, Joe, for the super chat. Yeah, Ryan Tannehill, blast from the past, huh?
Yeah.
But good reminder.
People will call me a homer. People call me a hater. I've been called both things. I was messaging with our pal Zach. I haven't seen him in the chat today. But we were messaging. I think it was yesterday or the day before. Like, if you're being called both a homer and a hater, you're probably right in that sweet spot where you're supposed to be. And look, an unbiased source. I asked Grok to see what my ex post said about me, and Grok said I'm overall positive, but won't shy away from criticism of the team. He basically said I call it how I see it, and I was like, well, there it is. That was an unbiased AI said that I call it online. So I'm not just a Shanahan homer. This is not what it is. And I know I had a big soliloquy about that. Adam set it up for me. He put it on the tee, but look, when you're a team right now, this team, the number one most injured team in the NFL, is 1 win away from matching the win total last season.
Like, we're 3 plays away from being undefeated. If 3 things don't happen, we're literally the best team in the entire galaxy. That's wild if you think about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, we have every reason to be positive this year, because last year, if anything, is that misery loves company and it sucks. So this year we're not even through. We could end October, have 2.5 months left of the NFL season, and still have as many and already have as many or more wins than we had all last year. That's incredible. That is an incredible turnaround. I don't care how you look at it.
No.
That this team being where they are, 1 win away from matching last season's total, with what they've done with the amount of young guys they're playing. I mean, come on. This is a fun season. I'm really enjoying this season so far. I just enjoy it. I just enjoy this season. I feel like I'm in a better place as far as, my perspective on the team than I've really been in the last couple of years. So yeah.
Everything I need to know about Johnny Dell, I learn through his wife, because she made a text thread. And look, last night the game was over. It was 20-10. It was
You cannot show that picture. That is such an unflattering picture.
And well, I don't have the ability to show anything. It would have to be
okay.
You. And I'm not saying.
Well, I was like, you're not going to put your phone.
Oh yeah, no. Here's what I'm gonna say. That I can't imagine what you're like when the game is not in the balance, or it's hanging in the balance, or whatever. Because again, guys, I want to point out that it was the point is, it was after it was 20-10. We all know there was how much time left in the game at that point, maybe 2:23. So any point from 2 minutes and 23 seconds down is when this photo was taken. And it's Johnny blurring his eyeballs out of his head because he is so close to the TV, hand on hips like a coach. When
knees,
guys,
my hands were on my knees. It was hilarious because
the game is over. The game is over.
I was squared up to the TV,
and
my hands were on my knees, and I was up.
Yeah.
And then the camera moved, and it was showing Robert Saleh doing the same thing, and it was like we were eye to eye doing this. I was like, oh, hey, Robert. Yeah. Look, I am a fan through and through. It's a lot of times why I don't do after game shows, because it's really hard for me to, like, I have to process what I've just been through.
Yeah.
I'm going to be way too worked up. I'm more of an analytical person. I don't like to just shoot from the hip on all that stuff. I want to be able to think about it, think about what I've seen, think about what happened. It takes me 2 hours to fall asleep after like that game last night. And so my mind was just racing. And so I want to watch the film. And so like this morning I watched film for an hour and a half before I came on the show. But that's how I am as emotionally invested in this team as anybody. So people be like, well, it's easy to say this or that. No. Trust me, the wins hurt me as much as anybody else. And I a lot of times probably take them harder than most people. Where I've tried to be better about it, but I'm usually grumpy around the house for a while. I'm like, just leave me alone for a while. But I think that got so bad in the 2020 season. My wife was like, she was wanting to try and tell me scores of games that we were behind on, that we were going to lose, so that she would just be like, just turn it off now. Just don't watch it. It's going to be bad. But yeah.
I just thought that was funny and awesome at the same time. It was hilariously awesome. So the last thing to go through is
Snitches get stitches,
Brendel,
Adam. Colley's
Brendel,
calling you the snitch.
yeah, well, tell your wife then, because she knows me well enough.
Look, she did ask me. She was like, "Would you care if I sent this picture to Adam?" And I was like, "I don't care. Just I'm not gonna let him show it on the live stream."
Yeah, and I wouldn't do that
because I mean, it was like the most unflattering angle to take a picture of somebody being hunched over.
You're
like
a guy. Who cares? No, I didn't even think of it like that. I just think here's more what stood out to me. The game is over. It is over. There's we have to get to that.
There was still a chance that we could lose. There was still a chance.
There just wasn't.
With the way that this team was last year, with snatching defeat from the jaws of victory several times, I was not ready to just
We're not the New York Giants.
We're good.
We're not giving up a 19-point lead in the fourth quarter and then giving up 14 or 13 more points. We're not the New York Giants. We're fine. Okay, so the injuries real quick. So we'll end on this. Where are we at? Because we lost Brendel.
Renardo Green. Yeah, Brendel's a hamstring. Renardo Green is a toe. He was asked if it was turf toe, and he said it's a toe. So we don't know the extent of it. Again, I tried to see what it was on tape. Didn't really see much. I didn't see this major hyperextension of his toe. It actually looked like it was the outside of his left foot that got tangled up. And it was when he was shuffling and putting pressure on the left side of his left foot. It could be his right foot. I could be completely wrong. I just went back and looked at the 2 plays before he went out to see if I could see anything. So I don't know. I don't think they've even said what kind, even what toe it was for Renardo Green not being able to come in. I think they just told Shanahan he's got a toe injury. Could be a broken toe. Could have been a dislocated toe. I don't know. We don't know.
Yeah.
But we'll find out more about that today when Shanahan does his conference call. But Brendel's obviously he's probably going to go on short-term IR. The fact that he was shut down so quickly and pulled out, he's probably going to be a 4-week.
How does that work?
Loss.
Okay, 4 weeks is the.
Yeah, he's got to miss at least 4 games.
Okay,
but we should get Ben Barch back this week. So,
man, yeah, stay tuned. This is another plug. Remember, guys, to hit the notification bell. As it stands right now, we will go Friday at normal time. But look, life happens. You never know. Also, you want to be notified when Johnny drops. This video is going to be great. It's going to be wonderful. There's going to be so much good stuff on tape. You're going to want to see it. And Johnny likes to have a specific time that video comes out, and then life happens. So you never know for sure. So hit the notification bell. Make sure you go up to people that are wearing Niner gear, show them the channel, show them one of your favorite videos, show them how dumb I can be and how smart Johnny is. And then also, while you're doing that, since your thumb is right there, I talk about Niners as much as I can on Sports Idiot Nation. It's an easy topic because they are, they are a story. I will say, I'm going to listen to Colin Cowherd later. They are a national story, which is fun. When the Niners are a national story, it's just fun, so I do enjoy when the Niners are being talked about all over the country. It just makes it more fun. So I'm excited.
Yeah, we may have lost 2 starters this week, but we could get 3 back this next week. We could get Ricky, we could get Brock, we could get Ben Barch. We just need to, at least from here on out, be getting more guys back than we're losing. I really want this team. What the team really needs right now is they need 2 weeks of not having a starter go down for an extended period of time. That's what they really need. They have not gone a game right now where they haven't lost a starter for multiple weeks. So you're on the point where you're going to start getting guys back in. You're getting a Jordan Watkins in. You're getting a Ricky Pearsall. You're getting Brock Purdy. You're getting Ben Barch. You need to then keep yourself from losing players. You do that for 3 weeks, this team is gonna. We should see an ascension, and you should start seeing them rolling some teams, not just winning tough and gritty games, but you should see them start rolling teams, which would be fun. But we got to watch from week to week. But I don't have the outro video right now because I'm on the wrong platform because the stinking outage.
And not because of a certain country. We're not saying that.
We're not saying it's that.
We're not saying
most
that
likely it is, but because we've been down for over 2 hours and this is not normal. And I don't even, I mean, I would have to play like the sad countdown video out to close this out. So I'm not going to do that. We're just going to have the stream will end after Adam takes us out.
All right. So again, guys, be sure to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell. Thanks for hanging out with us. And as always, stay safe, stay healthy, and go Niners.